back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be starting yet another reading vlog. So honestly, August has not been a great month so far. I have been sick, I've been going through it in other ways, and I just frankly don't want to think about it anymore. So hopefully this kicks off my week of not going through it. I'm hoping to have just a really nice, chill week. This is also my last week before my semester starts again, so I just want to have a nice time. A good time. So hopefully I will be reading some great books. Hopefully I will be doing some fun things that I can share with you. So let me just jump into it by talking about my TBR, which I'm very excited about. I do have a little bit of a mystery theme going on this week, but I also have a book that I'm currently in the middle of that doesn't really fit that theme, but I want to finish it anyway. So let's talk about it. So first of all, the book that I am in the middle of is actually Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. Hello, Daisy. Come and say hello. You're so cute. Oh, sorry. After finishing up Jane Eyre a couple of weeks ago, I was going through my typical I feel on top of the world, I can read any classic ever kind of mentality. So I decided to pick up Mrs. Dalloway. I thought it would be like a shorter book to read, but something that I've been wanting to get to for a while, and I'm really liking it so far. I'm on page 68 out of, I don't know, like 160 or something. So I do feel like finishing this up will be very doable. I've kind of just been reading little bits and pieces of it at night right before I go to sleep, and that has kind of been how I've been digesting this and really enjoying doing it that way. But I think this book has been so interesting so far. It's mainly just focusing on Mrs. Dalloway as well as, you know, like a couple of other characters, but kind of the titular character. She's a housewife in the 1920s, and we're kind of just seeing her go about her day. We're kind of focusing on the domesticity of her life, but also kind of focusing on the beauty in the mundane. She hasn't so far gotten up to anything super exciting throughout the day. She's kind of just preparing for this party that she's going to be throwing later. But I've really enjoyed kind of following her around the streets of London, kind of thinking about these wider, more involved and like deep topics, while also just appreciating the small things that she sees around, such as the ducks in the pond and the flowers in the flower shop and like all of that. So very much appreciating the little things in life, because if you can't, what do you have left, basically? It's also a really interesting look at post-World War I Britain. There's a lot of discussion of, you know, like the war and certain attitudes that people are now having due to the effects of the war. One of the other characters that we're kind of focusing on, his name is Septimus. He was a soldier, and he's very much dealing with PTSD. We're kind of seeing how he's feeling about certain things, as well as the people around him who don't exactly seem to understand what he's going through right now or what he has seen in the war. So I think that's a really interesting conversation to focus on in here as well. And then you're also focusing on this man whose name is Peter Walsh, and this man irritates the hell out of me. I do not like him. He's so critical and so mean, honestly, to Clarissa, who is Mrs. Dalloway, but he's also kind of obsessed with her. So weird behavior, fan behavior, honestly. But those are the three main POVs that we're following in this story so far, and it's been really interesting. I've just been liking it a lot so far. I don't really think I've read anything quite like this before. I don't even think I've read a lot of books that were written in the 20s, aside from like The Great Gatsby. But I'm a little bit scared to read the rest of this book because I dare say it might get a little bit sad, depressing towards the end. And honestly, that is not what I need right now, because I just finished, where'd it go? Here it is. I just finished Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, and I just want to know, what was Suzanne Collins going through when she wrote this book, and why did I too have to go through it? Because honestly, harrowing. That's all I'll say about it. But like, this book was a ride, and not a fun one. I can't think about it anymore. I simply cannot. So I thought, you know, shifting focus away from all of what's going on there, I wanted to just like read some fun books this week as well. So hence the like little mystery theme we have going on here. So let's talk about the other three books that I'm going to be reading. First of all, finally, I'm going to be reading Murder at the Vicarage by Agatha Christie. This video will not be ending without me reading this book, because I put it on my like little cozy mystery TBR for the video that I filmed last year, and I didn't actually read it. So that's not happening this year. I'm gonna be reading Murder at the Vicarage. First Mrs. Marple mystery. I'm just really interested to get into this one and see what I think about it. It's also not really that long. It's like 280 pages, so I'm excited. I don't have the best track record with Agatha Christie books, but I need to give some more a try, you know? Then I do have a novella, and that is Murder by Memory by Olivia Waite. This one is literally so short. It is 100 pages exactly. So very, very doable. This is like a sci-fi cozy mystery. I'm not 100% sure what else happens in it, but like, look at the cover alone. I love it so much. And also just the concept of it sounds so good. So I'm so excited to get into this one. And then also a book that I am so excited about, because it is Holly Jackson's adult debut. My hold for Not Quite Dead Yet did come in at the library a few days ago and I was so excited. I was like, absolutely, I have to read this week. I've heard it's just absolutely nuts, honestly. I've seen a couple people talking about it in my Patreon Discord and they said it's nuts. And I truly expect nothing less from Holly Jackson, so I cannot wait to get into this one. I am not 100% sure what this one is about either, but I think maybe our main character has a brain injury and she's trying to like solve her own murder or something like that. It sounds ridiculous, but again, I feel like if anybody can pull it off, it's Holly Jackson. I would just read anything that woman writes. So I'm very excited about this one. I feel like it's just gonna be so fun and crazy and a little bit insane, but I am ready. So here are the 4 books that I'm planning on reading this week. We have some shorties going on, but we also have, you know, a little bit of a longer one. So I feel like we have a good selection and I cannot wait to jump into all of these. But then aside from the reading, obviously I'm gonna be doing other things. I'm gonna do some journaling. Nobody's surprised, I'm gonna do some journaling. But then one other thing that I've been focusing on and I would like to continue to focus on this week is my sweater that I've been knitting. I showed you guys in my last vlog that I had finished the collar and I'd like started working on the body and I'd made a lot of progress on the body. I was probably like here with the yoke maybe, and then I realized that the raglan looked weird, so I had to undo all of it up until the neckline. I did not undo the neckline because that would have been hell. But I restarted the yoke and here is how it is looking now. We actually have a sweater looking thing. I have split for the sleeves. I'm currently just working on the body. I have a lot of stockinette in the round to work on this week. But again, my arms hurt. I don't think knitting is gonna be the hobby for me, honestly, because it makes my arms hurt too much. And I know I could switch knitting styles, but like truly I cannot knit continental to save my life. It like does not compute in my brain. So I think I'm gonna have to cool it on all of my knitting plans, honestly. Obviously I will continue to do it. It'll just be a very slow process. And that's okay sometimes. So I'm gonna let my arms recover a little bit more. But in like a couple days, I want to get back to working on this because I think it looks really cute. I'm very happy with the yarn combo. I like how the fit is so far. And obviously it'll be like the perfect wintry kind of sweater, even though it's August. But like this green combo very much gives winter to me. But I wanted to show you guys how it's going because I love it. I think it looks so good. And I also just like kind of freehanded it with where I was placing the increases. And I feel like it actually worked. Would I recommend doing that? Not necessarily. But I think it's good. So that's kind of everything I think that I have to share with you guys before we get on into the reading. As I said, I'm very excited for my little TBR that I have going on here, and obviously I'm going to be starting out by reading Murder by Memory. Well, was it obvious? Probably not. I'm gonna read the entire thing today because me and Mackenzie are buddy reading this book. We're gonna FaceTime later, have a little bit of a book club discussion about it. So obviously I need to have the book read for said book club discussion. So I'm gonna be starting out with this book. Very excited about it. Hope you guys are excited for this vlog as well. And now that I have talked enough, it is time to get into it. So I will see you guys later tonight, probably, with an update. So it is a lot later. It's about 9:46 right now. And I have some mail that I recently got. I have a book update because I have finished Murder by Memory, which we're gonna talk about. But I've also been spending a lot of the day not doing any reading because I just got back from going to dinner and seeing Jurassic Park Rebirth with my family, which honestly was really not as bad as everybody was saying it was. Like, it wasn't great, but I feel like none of the Jurassic Park sequels have been that great. So I'm like, what were we expecting? I don't know, but I had a pretty good time. My one gripe is that the dinosaurs were kind of lame looking, honestly. Like, they were too alien looking for dinosaurs, in my opinion. That's my only gripe. That's the one thing I want to say. Aside from that, I was entertained. But movie review aside, I have some mail, which I feel like you guys might also enjoy. It's not like book mail, but it's kind of journaling related mail, so I thought we could open it because Archer and Olive recently dropped their fall line collection, whatever. I mean, look at the cute tape that's on the box. It's so freaking cute. And initially I wasn't gonna buy anything, but then some people in my Discord were dropping pictures of some stuff they were thinking about buying. And I'm like, ugh, I saw this little set of washi tape. It's like, damn it, now I'm gonna have to buy something. I've never ordered anything from Archer and Olive before, and they gave me a little 20% off coupon for ordering for the first time. I was like, thank you. And it also got here so fast. It is Saturday, and I'm pretty sure I ordered this on like Wednesday. It like shipped an hour after I bought it. So A+ for speedy shipping, I must say. But let me open this and then I'll show you. It's so cute. I can't wait to use it. It's so perfect for fall. It already looks so cute. I mean, just a little sneak peek. Can you see? Also, Daisy's here. I'll open this in a second. Keep you in suspense. We gotta let Daisy in. Come here. Hi. Oh, this is so cute. She just wants to know what's going on. Anyway, washi tape. Let me open it and show you a little bit better. Oh my god, they're so freaking cute. The one thing I must say is that Archer and Olive kills it when it comes to washi tape. I feel like anytime I see like a really cute washi tape, like 50-50 chance it's from Archer and Olive. But they had this little set of field mice washi tape and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to buy it. Hey, what are you eating? She's attacking the elastic band that's on one of my journals. Par for the course, really. But I love this one. So cute. Little mice looking so freaking cozy. Obviously, I loved the little mushrooms that were on this one. And then these little guys, the mice and the mushrooms. Look at him reading his little book. That's me. And then finally, I really liked this one. It was just like a little, you know, kind of complimentary. No, what's the right word? I feel like complimentary makes it sound like it's free. Like a coordinating washi tape, you know? And it's got little clovers on it, which honestly, very much giving St. Patrick's, very much reminding me of Cass right now. But I just thought these were so freaking cute. I don't normally buy like, it wasn't super expensive, but like expensive washi tape, you know? But these really called out to me. These are gonna be featured in so many, whoops, I just dropped them all on the floor. They're gonna be featured in so many fall spreads if I ever pick them back up. So yeah, little washi tape haul. So happy about these. They're so cute. All of the random stuff aside, I also obviously want to talk to you guys about Murder by Memory because I did read the entirety of it. It's a very short book, so that certainly was not hard, but I kind of liked this one. I thought it was okay. It was fun, but I wouldn't tell you to like run out and go read this book immediately. It was cute, it was cozy, but overall, I feel like it's just not long enough, honestly, for me to be invested in anything that's happening. And then also the mystery aspect to it kind of came out of left field a little bit. I feel like we were doing something, we were kind of having some questions, and then we, you know, just kind of learned a bunch of stuff, and I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. Also, my AC just turned on. It's so loud. If you can hear it, I'm so sorry. But anyway, as for like the setup for this book, I do like a lot of individual elements of the story, but altogether, it wasn't really doing a whole lot for me. However, it's very short, so it was easy to like fly through, whatever. But Basically, in this book, we are following our main character, Dorothy, who lives on this spaceship. And from what I can understand, basically, you know, all these people used to live on Earth, but something happened, and they are now en route to this place that they're going to be living. However, it's going to take like hundreds and hundreds of years, obviously, to traverse the solar system to get to a point where humans can flourish again. And to combat literally everybody dying aboard this spaceship, they have this system where they can put their minds into these books that are then kept in a little library. Again, still obsessed with the cover art. But this is, you know, the library. And with these books, you can like update them with recent experiences that will then, you know, like go into your file basically. And if you end up when you end up dying, not an if, but like when you end up dying, you can then be put into a new body, but like you have the same mind and you use the books to do that, if that makes sense. Which is a really interesting way to combat how long a space journey can be. I feel like in Project Hail Mary, they ended up putting the people that were on a spaceship going to a very far away place, obviously, into a coma for an extended period of time. And that's how they kind of dealt with that in that book, but like in a more real world way. But this one's really interesting because like books in a library. So obviously that kind of speaks to me. But we're following our main character, Dorothy, who is the ship's detective. Like they don't really have cops or anything. They kind of just have detectives that, you know, detect things as one would. And she wakes up in this body one day. She doesn't really know whose body she wakes up in, and she finds out through talking to the ship. The ship is like a sentient AI kind of thing, which I love. A talking ship. Any sci-fi leaning thing that has a talking ship in it, 9 times out of 10, probably gonna be into it. But she finds out through talking to the ship that somebody has died on board, and being the resident detective, it is now her job to figure out what goes on with that. So things kind of just like spiral from there. We meet a couple of different characters. We get acquainted with like the atmosphere and environment of the ship. She also ends up, she loves knitting, by the way, which I was like, oh, girl, same. But she ends up going to a yarn shop, and she was describing all of like the beautiful textiles and the colors, and she was like, oh, I just finished, you know, knitting this sweater with this gray mohair or whatever. I was like, I love the yarn chat. Keep that up, thank you. But there's like a yarn shop on board, there's bookstores. It kind of feels like a little mall area that is on this ship, which I just think is interesting. I'm like, how big is this ship? Because honestly, it sounds like they are making this ride in style. But I feel like this is very much the setup for like a cozy mystery series. I feel like we've been introduced to a lot of different characters in small snippets, but they feel very much like the characters that you would encounter in a cozy mystery. I do believe there's going to be a second book in this series that might come out in March. What's it called? It's called Nobody's Baby. Interesting. I might pick it up. I'm not really sure. I kind of feel about it the same way I feel towards most of the cozy mysteries that I've read thus far, and that it's fun. It's a good time. If it was any longer, I probably, well, maybe would have DNF'd it, but for what it was, I enjoyed it. It was definitely a new twist on a cozy mystery. The cozy sci-fi was just a really interesting blend, and I just really enjoyed that. So I feel like I don't really have much else to say about it. It's so short. There's honestly not a lot to it, but it's a good time. So if you're looking for a short, sit down, read it in one go, probably within like the hour kind of read, I would recommend this, I guess. Not exactly, you know, the best review to start out the video with, but it was cozy, and that's really all I needed from it. So there we go. I'm thinking for the rest of the night, I'm probably gonna read some of Mrs. Dalloway, and then tomorrow I'm gonna get a start on Murder at the Vicarage. I'm prioritizing it this time. Not gonna leave it until the end so I can be like, oh, I didn't get to it. No, I also have some sprints with my patrons tomorrow at sometime that I cannot remember. What time are they? They are at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So I'll be reading hopefully a lot of Murder at the Vicarage tomorrow. That is definitely my goal. I'm excited to jump into it, see what I think of Miss Marple. And I think the back of this book also kind of uses Miss Marple as a comp title of sorts. It says Becky Chambers meets Miss Marple in this sci-fi ode to the cozy mystery, helmed by a formidable no-nonsense auntie of a detective. Honestly, I don't know if I would describe the main character as formidable or no-nonsense, but to each their own. But that's mainly what I've been up to today. Not a ton of reading. Like, this really took me no time at all. But tomorrow I definitely have big reading plans, so I will see you when I see you. Alright, good morning. It is Monday morning. I'm here with some reading updates, of which I have 3. We got a lot of things to talk about. So first of all, let me tell you about Murder at the Vicarage, because this is mainly what I was focusing on reading yesterday. I made it up to page 120 out of 280, I think, so I'm like a little bit under halfway through the book. And I'm liking this one so far. I feel like I'm liking it a little bit more than I was expecting to, which is good. And I think I'm gonna try to finish this book up today because I kind of want to know what's going on with the mystery. Naturally, I have guesses, I have suspicions, I kind of have certain things that I definitely think are going to be true about the murder, but overall I feel like there's so many different avenues that this could go down that I still am not really too sure, which is very exciting. So I cannot wait to figure out what's going on. But basically, kind of the setup for this book, aside from the fact that it is a murder at a vicarage, I feel like, you know, the title really clues you in to everything you may possibly need to know. But we are following this man who is this vicar of a small town, and the entirety of the book that takes place before the murder is kind of just focused on the small town, the people in it, the dynamics between certain people in the town, which is very interesting. There's a lot of gossip that goes around this town. There are kind of these tea parties that happen where all of these old women get together and they're just gossiping about literally everybody and everything that is going down in this town. And one of the regulars at these tea parties is Miss Marple. I do find it very interesting that thus far, Miss Marple hasn't really been a super active participant in everything that's going on. She's definitely in the background. We've seen some interactions with her, but she's not really at the forefront of the story, which is just different from what I was expecting. I wonder if maybe throughout the rest of the book she's going to like get more into it, and maybe then in the subsequent books in the Miss Marple kind of series, she is a more prominent figure in them, but I just wasn't expecting that. And it's interesting because we're actually following mainly the vicar. This is in first-person POV from his point of view, which I wasn't really expecting. And he's working very closely with the investigators that are on this case because the murder did happen in his vicarage, which makes sense. But at some point in the book, somebody was found dead in the study, maybe, that was in the vicarage, and you know, they're doing investigating, that's all going well, until 2 people end up confessing to the crime, but I feel like you can very much tell that neither of them did it. Let me tell you, the people in this book are terrible liars. Every time somebody talks to them, they're either like hesitating or looking around, or they're just acting suspicious, and you're like, okay, so you didn't murder this person, so what's going on? It definitely just adds like another layer to this mystery. You're trying to figure out who did it, but you're also trying to figure out why they're confessing to this, who they're covering for. I also do think it's really funny that the people of this small town are so bored. You can definitely tell by the way they're sitting around gossiping all the time, and especially in the way that they react to this murder happening. For example, the vicar's wife, her name is Griselda. At one point before the murder happens, she goes, "Oh dear, how I would like a thrill of some kind, a murder or even a burglary." And then somebody in response to her says, "I don't suppose there's anyone much worth burgling? No, that's the right word, but it sounds so weird." And then he goes on to say, "Unless we stole Miss Hartnell's false teeth." So very much boring, small, quaint life going on in this village before somebody literally gets murdered. And the vicar also has a nephew who is currently staying with him, whose name is Dennis. And Dennis is a menace, honestly. Dennis the Menace in this book, because he was so excited when he found out somebody was murdered. At one point when the vicar was talking to one of the inspectors, Dennis said, "You're not arresting Uncle," oh, his name is Len, that's the vicar's name. He goes, "You're not arresting Uncle Len, are you?" And the investigator's like, "Why should I?" And Dennis is like, "There's a lot of evidence against him. Only the day before the murder, he was wishing Colonel Prothero out of the world. Weren't you, Uncle Len?" And then at some point he's like, "Don't be absurd, Dennis." And he responds, he says, "I say, it's only a joke. Uncle Len just said that anyone who murdered Colonel Prothero would be doing the world a service." And the investigator's like, "Oh, so the plot thickens," and Len's like, no. He's so pissed at Dennis after that, but I thought it was so funny. So there are just a lot of characters in this book, that's for sure. I also find some of the things that the characters say in relation to a woman potentially doing the crime very interesting, and I am now more convinced than ever that as a woman, the time to do crime is the 1930s, because the inspectors on the case very much kind of scoff at the thought of a woman potentially committing the crime. At one point, one of them said, "She's a woman, and women act silly in that way. I'm not saying she did it for a moment. She heard he was accused, and she trumped up a story. I'm used to that sort of game. You wouldn't believe the fool things I've known women to do." So I'm like, clearly, I should go back to the 30s and commit some crimes. Low-level crimes. I'm not talking about murder. But also that just leads me to believe that a woman 100% committed this crime. Like, there's absolutely no way that it's not a woman. I don't know which one. I feel like there could be reason and motive behind every single woman that is like currently a suspect in this book. So I'm just interested to see where that's gonna go, but I'm liking this a lot so far. I feel like I'm probably going to want to continue on with the Miss Marple books, and I feel like I should definitely read some Poirot ones as well. I think I've only read Murder on the Orient Express, but I haven't read any of the others. So very excited about this. I feel like it's going well. I'm having a good time. But then this morning, the book that I haven't talked about in this video so far, but I decided to continue to listen to my audiobook for this book, and it also really fits with my mystery vibe I have going on this week. So I continue my audiobook for An Impossible Imposter by Deanna Raybourn. I'm currently very close to the end of this book. I'm on page 278 or something. So I'm probably gonna finish up my audiobook for this as well this week, because why not? I'm also still doing my speed read on my Patreon, and this was the book for July. I didn't read it, but that's okay. We do live shows every 3 months, so I just need to catch up with it. But I love this book so much. This book is so good. It is one of my favorite ones in the Veronica Speedwell series, especially the chapter that I just read. What was it? Chapter 28, when some certain information comes out, and the way that Stoker reacts to this information, I love him so dearly. And I love this book so much because you get so much background on Veronica. I feel like obviously you learn things about Veronica's past throughout the series up until this point, but it's big news. A lot of things going on in this book, which is why it's one of my favorites, because you just get so much more depth to her character, and it's just so unexpected. I just love it so much. Also, I get so excited every time I open this book because I always forget that it is signed by Deanna Raybourn. I bought this book off of eBay, I think, just used. It was like $10 or something. And when it came and I opened it, it was just signed by Deanna Raybourn, and I was like, thank you. Anyway, I've been listening to a little bit of this, loving it so much. And then I've also made some progress with Mrs. Dalloway. I'm currently on page 94. I don't know if I'm liking it as much as I was in the beginning, but I still just think it's such an interesting look at what life in London was like at this time. The last 30 or so pages that I've read have really been focusing on Septimus, who is a World War I veteran. I think this book takes place 5 years after the end of the war, and this heavily focuses on his PTSD, and kind of the last chunk that I read focuses on a lot of the attitudes towards those with PTSD. His wife is trying to get him some help, so he's gone to see a couple of different doctors. I think he went to see like a general practitioner as well as a psychiatrist, and neither of them were helpful in the slightest. They were just very dismissive. They were like, oh no, you're fine, don't worry about it, even though Septimus is expressing incredibly concerning ideas and things that he might do to himself. But the whole time they're like, oh, like, no, you're fine, don't worry about it, get some hobbies, get some rest, whatever. And I feel like that dismissive attitude is very much representative of kind of the general attitude towards those with PTSD, and it makes me really sad, honestly. But it's just been a really interesting look at kind of all of that. I also just love Virginia Woolf's writing. It is very different to anything that I've ever read before. The way she goes about kind of describing the passage of time, describing what our characters are seeing and feeling is just so interesting. For example, there was something that I read this morning, which is where it says, shredding and slicing, dividing and subdividing, the clocks of Harley Street nibbled at the June day, counseled submission, upheld authority, and pointed out in chorus the supreme advantages of a sense of proportion, until the mound of time was so far diminished that a commercial clock suspended above a shop in Oxford Street announced, genial and fraternally, to give the information gratis that it is 1:30. I'm like, what a way to just say that it's 1:30. It's so gratuitous, but in a way that I actually love, and the passage of time is also like a big kind of theme in this book because it takes place over the course of one day. So she'll frequently talk about Big Ben tolling or just like other clocks around the city also like chiming the hour, the half hour or whatever. And I love how that like frames the story really well. I also love all of the kind of flower symbolism that's in this book. Literally the first line of this book is Mrs. Dalloway said that she would buy the flowers herself, and I feel like flowers have become a major motif and like important part of the story. And the flowers are always kind of popping up when Mrs. Dalloway is maybe recounting something that meant a lot to her, or they just kind of pop up in a moment of joy for her. But I feel like they've also popped up in other scenarios with our other characters, and they kind of represent something else depending on the kind of flower that is being brought up. So I've been looking a lot into like the symbolism of certain types of flowers, and the way that that ties into the story is honestly so well done. I probably am not telling you anything new that Mrs. Dalloway is just like a really good story, but I'm liking it a lot, and like the more I talk about it, honestly, the more excited I get to read some more of it. So as I said, I'm on page 94. I have like 70 or so pages left, so definitely gonna be finishing this up at some point over the course of the week. Again, very much taking my time with this. It's the kind of book that I don't really like to read in huge spurts, but I'm planning on reading some more of this today, but my main focus is gonna be The Murder at the Vicarage. Good reading happening, good reading to come. I will see you guys tomorrow. Buckle up. We have a lot of things to talk about. So it has been a couple of days, I think, since I last updated the video, and I have finished 3 books. I have made a lot of progress in another. I have some stickers to show you. I have a new Switch game that I, and like everybody else, has been obsessed with that I want to talk about. So sit down and get ready for a long update. I'm sorry in advance, but let me talk about the books that I finished. I feel like, you know, it's a reading vlog. We should probably talk about those. First up, I did finish up An Impossible Imposter. Obviously I loved it. Obviously she was stunning. Big fan. Still a 5-star read. I just love how the things that happen in this book impact the relationship between Stoker and Veronica. I love how much background you get on Veronica and how that ties into the mystery. I also really enjoy the historical background that is used in this book. There are a lot of attitudes and feelings that our characters are sharing that are very related to the state of the British Empire at this point in history, so I like that that's added in there as well. It's just a really well-rounded book, and I cannot wait to jump into A Sinister Revenge. I should read A Sinister Revenge this month. I haven't yet, and it's already like the 23rd. But as long as I read that one and another one of my favorites, A Grave Robbery, before the end of September, I will be golden. So there's this one. Love this one. Then I did also finish up Mrs. Dalloway, and look at the stunning annotations. Not that this has anything to do with how I'm feeling about the book, but like, oh my god, it's satisfying. I also just feel like there's so many things going on in this book that one can look for, and I had a lot of fun kind of like picking them out from the story. If you want to know examples of what I was looking for, the main 3 that I found the most interesting were the beauty and the mundane. A lot of this book kind of focuses on everyday life in the 1920s, everyday life for our main characters, and I really loved following them throughout the day as they were just remarking on the things that were going on around them, the little things, you know. Also, as I've said a couple of times, the impacts of World War I, specifically with our main character Septimus, were a huge part of the story as well. And also something I started looking for a little bit later was the emphasis on the passage of time, not only throughout this singular day in our characters' lives, but kind of the passage of time through the entirety of their lives, and kind of them recounting some certain things, reflecting on them. Daisy has entered the room. Hi! Are you gonna come up? Hello? I need to close my door now though. Thank you. Entertain them. I think I might have to fire her. She didn't do a very good job. I just found this book overall to be fascinating, honestly, and I definitely would like to read some more Virginia Woolf. So if you have any personal favorites, or if you have any that you would recommend for me to read next, please let me know. If you have read some Virginia Woolf, I would love to figure out where to go from here. But I just found these characters to be fascinating, and even though I feel like my interest maybe waned slightly in the second half of this book, the ending of it was honestly one of my favorite parts, and one of the parts of the book that I feel like best exemplified, even though maybe in a hyperbolic way, how people were kind of feeling about and treating those who had served in the war. It was honestly like kind of a haunting ending. But I like Mrs. Dalloway, and I'm definitely going to be kind of, you know, continuing on my trend of reading classics, meaning I've read 2, and now I think I'm gonna read another one. I'm pretty sure for my readathon, I'm doing a Patreon readathon that starts today, which I'm not going to be including in this video. I'm going to end this vlog today, but like I'm going to start reading for that tomorrow probably, and I think I'm going to read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's one that I've been meaning to read for a really long time. I have also bought like a lot of classics recently, so I need to make sure I'm getting on those, and I'm just excited about reading classics right now. I am excited to get back to like some more gothic-y 1800s kind of vibe though, because I feel like those are my favorite classics, so I think that's gonna be great. Obviously, I'll tell you my thoughts on that at some point in time. Moving on, let's talk about the last book that I finished, which was The Murder at the Vicarage by Agatha Christie. I liked this one. I think this is definitely my favorite Agatha Christie that I've read thus far. I've only read like 2.5 other books, so not really saying a whole lot, but I enjoyed the start of the Miss Marple series. I'm hoping that she becomes more of a forefront of the story in the novels to come. I don't exactly know if that's how these are gonna be structured or not, but that's kind of my hope for the next Miss Marple books. I definitely want to pick up The Body in the Library, which is the next one in the Miss Marple series, and I would like to read it pretty soon, maybe. I think it's pretty short, and I think it'll be a good, like, fall read, so I'd like to pick that up and read it. But as for this one, I don't want to say the mystery disappointed me, because I don't think it did. I didn't see it coming. I was pretty surprised when everything was said and done, but I wish it would have, I don't know, just been a little bit more interesting. But I also find that for the most part with a lot of like mystery, thriller, horror kind of books that I read, I've said this a couple of times, but the build up to like what's going on is always much, much better than the actual thing that is going on. I feel like it is very rare. It happens sometimes, but I feel like it is very rare that the conclusion to the story is actually that satisfying. But I always love the setup. I love the rising tension. I love the build up enough that most of the time it doesn't matter, which is like the same case with this. But sometimes it just never hits the way that I want it to, and maybe my expectations are just way too high for books of this nature. I don't know. But I'm interested to read some more Agatha Christie mysteries. I do think the conclusions to Murder on the Orient Express and Then They Were Done were a little bit more satisfying than this one was, because those are just like crazy whatever is going on in those books. But this one was definitely a little more cozy, a little more small scale, a little more believable, I guess you could say. So I like this one. Definitely will be reading some more Agatha Christie books soon. It was enjoyable. But now we can talk about the book that I have started. Oops, sorry. Daisy was laying on it and I had to disturb her. Oh no, I think I've also caught her attention with the little bookmark that's on it. But yes, I have started, not quite done yet. I am further in than this though, because I have been listening to this on audio. Where am I? I am 60% of the way through the book, and I've been enjoying this one a lot so far. It definitely like has a very intriguing premise. I feel like from the first chapter, you're intrigued, you want to know what's going on. Out of the thrillers that I've read, it is a very original setup, and I have been liking it a lot. The characters in the book kind of drive me nuts sometimes, but I am so intrigued. I need to know like what's going on in this book. So basically the very first chapter of this book takes place on Halloween night, and we are following our main character Margaret, who is coming home from, and she might be out trick-or-treating with her brother and her brother's child or something, but she ends up coming back to her house at the end of the night, and there's somebody in the house, and they like bash her skull in with a hammer a couple of times. Now you may think she would be dead, but actually she's not quite dead yet. Sorry, that was terrible, but she wakes up in the hospital and the doctor's like, you should not be alive, but you may not be alive for very long. Here are your options, basically. So due to all of this head trauma that she has just sustained, she can undergo this surgery where she has like a 90% chance of dying on the table, or she can wait 7 days until an aneurysm inevitably kills her. So she's like, I think, 10% isn't sounding too good. I'm gonna wait a week, and in that 7 days, I'm going to solve my own murder. So that's kind of like the general gist of what's going on in this book. I love that concept, honestly. I think the time crunch aspect to it just makes it that much more tense, and like the ticking down of days is really building that tension. I also just love the fact that she is solving her own murder. Like the level of investment that she has in this is obviously incredibly high. So she's willing to do just about anything to figure things out, and she's also very desperate, which I think makes for some really interesting scenes. There are definitely things that she is willing to do that you wouldn't necessarily be doing if it was like a normal police investigation. She's just like, well, I'm gonna die in like 5 days, so like let me cause some property damage, or like let me do this. One of the problems that I do have in this book is that the characters are honestly so annoying. Some of them are, at least. Some of them I like, but some of them get on my nerves. Namely, I'm talking about Margaret's mother. I want to punch this woman in the face. I'm sorry. I know she like has a daughter that's about to like die in 5 days, presumably. But anyway, Margaret's mother is really upset that Margaret doesn't want to do the surgery that has a 90% chance of her dying. And she's basically taking the situation and making it all about her. Like, she has been hounding Margaret to change her mind on this. Like, every time she's in the book, she's being annoying. On some some levels, I understand. I understand that she's frustrated and very sad about the situation. But ultimately, it is Margaret's decision, and the fact that she's not respecting it, and she's going to extreme lengths to express how much she disapproves of Margaret's decision. It's like, it just is so grating. Also, something that I really don't think helps is that the audiobook narrator, oh my, the way she narrates Margaret's mom is so irritating. It's so irritating. Her mother would get on my nerves regardless, but like the grating kind of whiny voice that she does for Margaret's mother is just amping up my hatred of this woman, which may be irrational, but I just don't like her. Honestly, you know, there's some other characters that I don't like, but like my main beef is with Margaret's mom. And if I were to tell you some of the specific things that she's done, you wouldn't like this woman either. But regardless of that, the book is pretty straightforward. We're just following Margaret as she is kind of teamed up with one of her childhood best friends whose name is Billy, and they are just going around trying to solve her own murder. I must say, I do like Margaret as our main character. She does get on my nerves sometimes. But for the most part, I really like her kind of blasé attitude about like this whole situation. But I feel like she has a healthy respect for the fact that she's about to die, but like not too much of respect for it, if that makes sense. But I am enjoying this one a lot so far. So I'm very excited to finish this up today and figure out what's going on. We've kind of been introduced to some suspects who I really don't think did it, but I've heard that the ending of this book is insane. So I feel like it's just gonna take any predictions I may have and throw them out the window, as Holly Jackson typically does. So liking that a lot. And those are my reading updates. That was a long reading update spiel. But I have other things that I want to talk about before I let you go for now. First of all, I did do some shopping the other day. I went to Barnes & Noble. I didn't buy anything. I actually did go in there to buy a book, but then I saw it was $33. And then I walked back out. But I did go to Paper Source and I bought some stickers instead. So let me show you these. Oh my gosh, I'm running out of room on my camera. I only have 4 minutes. Actually, maybe it's better that way. But I bought some stickers from Paper Source. They had their Halloween stuff out. I got these really cute, like, gold foily cat pumpkin situation stickers. They're so cute. I couldn't pass them up. And then shockingly enough, I got more cat stickers. These are, how do I show you these? Is that better? I don't even know. But they're very cute. So I'm very excited to use these soon. I think I might do some journaling this morning, so I might have to bust these out. So that'll be fun. Also, you may be wondering what I've been doing while I've been listening to Not Quite Dead Yet. I have been playing Tiny Bookshop, which maybe you guys have seen around. I feel like everybody's playing it right now. Everybody, especially like in the book space. But it's a new game that came out earlier this month. I'm playing it on my Switch, but I know you can play it on like your computer or whatever. You don't need a Switch to play it. And it's basically a game where you are running a tiny bookshop and you recommend books to people. You can decorate your tiny bookshop. You go to different places in this town to sell books to people. And it is so fun. It's so addictive as well. And honestly, I don't think the game would be quite as good if they didn't have like real book titles in it. And they're not just classics, which I love, which is kind of what I was expecting, but they have like newer release books too in this game, like actual new release books, which is so fun. I've seen The Cruel Prince. I saw Shatter Me, I think. They have like The Hunger Games in there. Also, there are like some other not quite as new release books, but just books I wouldn't expect to be there. So they had like Howl's Moving Castle. They had Guards by Terry Pratchett. Like looking at my shelf to see what else they had. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but that's just like such an interesting selection of books for them to have, and it's so fun. I love it so much. So I've been playing so much of that. I'm currently in spring, I think, of the first year, so I've almost completed a full year. Anyway, my camera's gonna run out of storage, so I'm gonna go, but my plans for today, sorry for the abrupt cut, where'd it go? I'm gonna read Not Quite Dead Yet. I'm gonna finish it up. I'm going to probably update my Hobonichi. My initial plan was to like backfill the last like 4 weeks, but then I realized I don't want to think about like the last 4 weeks like that. So I think I'm just gonna do like this past week. But those are my plans. Sorry for this incredibly long update, but I will see you guys later. Alright, so it is a lot later, but I'm back with an update because I finished, if I can get it, it's at the bottom of my stack, of course, because I finished listening to my audiobook of Not Quite Dead Yet. I also did get another bookshelf in Tiny Bookshop, which is very exciting. I have so many books now every day that I can recommend to people, and yet they still hate my recommendations. I swear to God, the people in this game are so picky. They ask me for like 3 different things, none of which actually go together, and then they get mad when I don't have a book that fits that. I'm like, what do you want from me? My personal favorite ones, and I've complained about this to so many people, anybody who will listen, I will tell about it because I'm like, what? But are the people that ask for a fantasy book, but they hate anything to do with magic. So I'm like, obviously there are some fantasy books that don't explicitly have magic in them, but I'm like, maybe you should find another genre because I don't know if fantasy is actually for you, my guy. The game's so fun, but they have some sassy remarks when I do not deliver on a book recommendation, and I'm tired of them. But regardless, I still have the best time playing it, so obviously I'm not that mad about it. Anyway, moving on from my tiny rant about Tiny Bookshop. I finished Not Quite Dead Yet, and do I like the ending of this book? I don't know. I like the way that it ended, the format in which it ended, I really enjoyed. I can't really go too far into any of that, but I thought it was a really clever way to end the book. And there was one chapter towards the end. It's like a minute, not even a minute long. And I hope you know, if you've read this book, what chapter I'm talking about. It pertains to our main character's sister-in-law, Sophia. That chapter had me cackling. It is so funny. But as for the way the mystery wrapped up, I liked it. I thought it was fun. Overall, I thought this was just a really solid thriller book. I was intrigued, I was engaged. Am I literally ever gonna think about it again? Probably not. But that's kind of how I feel about all thriller books. Aside from Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, that's like the one thriller book that I'm like, yeah, actually, like that was so good. And I think about it all the time. Like any other thriller book, like none of them leave a mark on me. I'm really excited to read Holly Jackson's future work in this more adult space because I like what she was doing here. But this one just ended up, you know, like not being a favorite. I didn't dislike it, but it wasn't like, you know, anything that I would write home about. I also do think that this book maybe reads a little bit younger than adult, honestly, because her main character, Margaret, I don't know why I keep calling her Margaret. She goes by Jet in this book. She doesn't like the name Margaret. But her main character, Jet, is 27. But honestly, I think if you didn't know she was 27, I feel like she would maybe read like she's a teenager. And I feel like that has a lot to do with her attitude about the situation and the way that she is reacting to these things. And I do feel like it somewhat makes sense for the scenario that she's in. Obviously, it's drastic times. Obviously, she's been dealt a very crappy hand in life and she's kind of taking that out on the people around her in a way at times. But she does read a little bit young. But like aside from all of that, I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was a great concept, decent execution for me personally. I liked it. But I do actually have one more reading update. I know you thought it was over actually, but I did start another book earlier today, which has nothing to do with anything that I was planning to read in this video, but I started reading the first book for my readathon today because I was doing some sprints with my patrons. And one of the books that I'm reading is Anne of Avonlea, and I just wanted a second to talk about it because I'm not going to be reading this in like a normal vlog. I'm not going to start another vlog until I do my fall stuff soon, which I'm so excited about. But obviously I wanted to take a second to talk about this because I am so happy to be back in the Anne of Green Gables series. It has been so good. I'm literally only 21 pages in. I'm on chapter 3 and I'm absolutely loving it so far. I'm so excited to read this book. And I will probably be reading Anne of the Island in September. It's just like, I can't believe I waited so long to read the second book in the Anne of Green Gables series. If you guys missed it, I read the first book back in May, I think. And I absolutely loved it. One of my few 5 stars of the year. So obviously I've been wanting to jump into the second book and I finally did it and I'm so excited about it. And I've already been highlighting so many different things in here. I'm so excited to be back hanging out with Anne. I love following her as she is a little bit older. She's like 16 in this book and like, you know, the first book you're kind of following her at a younger age. But I like that she still maintains that whimsy, you know? Because there was this whole part where her and Diana were talking about this family that like moved away. None of them are dead, but Anne's just like, how lonely and sorrowful it must feel. Perhaps they all come back on moonlit nights, the ghosts of the little children of long ago in the roses of the songs. And for a little while, the old house can dream it is young and joyous again. And Diana's like, you know they're not dead, right? But Anne's like, she had long ago learned that when she wandered into the realm of fancy, she must go alone. The way to it was by an enchanted path where not even her dearest might follow her. Which really means Anna's just constantly away with the fairies. She is just never matching the vibe of the people around her, and I love her for that. But I'm not gonna say too much about it, but I want to let you guys know that I'm absolutely loving it so far. I read the first page, I was like, oh, we are back. We're so back. So yeah, I just wanted to share that exciting update. I wasn't gonna talk about it in this video, but I had to share. So I don't know why I'm doing the Italian hands. I'm so sorry, but it's just that good. Anyway, we have officially made it to the end of the video. I've read 5 books. Oh, I finished 5 books in this video, all of which I liked. Some I liked more than others, but I liked them all decently well. So I finished, obviously Not Quite Dead Yet. I finished up Murder by Memory. I mean, the more I think about this one, the more I just didn't love it, honestly. But it's a fun read. It's like a fun, fast read. It's not gonna be anything like remarkable, but if you want, again, a fun, fast read, cozy sci-fi, it's a good concept. I would maybe recommend, like, checking it out from your library kind of vibe, you know? I then also read Murder at the Vicarage. So happy I read another Agatha Christie and that I really liked it. I also read Mrs. Dalloway. I liked this one a lot too. And then I also finished An Impossible Imposter. I can't believe the book that is probably my favorite out of all these books is the book that I read like 30 pages from this vlog. But it's a reread, so that's hardly fair. Anyway, obviously I would love to know if you guys have read any of the books that I've read in this video. We can chat about them. I'd love to talk about literally any of these books with you guys. Also, Anne of Avonlea, we could talk about that one too. Also, before we go, I would like to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you're ever looking for more content from me, that is always linked down below. We do some fun stuff over there. I do extra videos. We do a monthly buddy read for August. We are reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Our live show's coming up soon. It's gonna be very fun. We also do quarterly readathons. I'm doing one right now. Lots of sprints, lots of fun. But with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you're all having an amazing end to your August. I am so excited because I think the next video that I'm posting is gonna be fall adjacent. We're gonna be talking about some fall reads in it for sure, and I can't wait. So I will see you guys then. Bye.